Oh boy. He's up against his ex-teammate, and we'll see if he can keep up with him. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. One of the best Protoss in all of South Korea. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Blue Terran player representing his new team, the Platinum Heroes. It is Nicoract. Here we go. Again, Platinum Heroes actually picked up a lot of players, I imagine, for the upcoming season of WTL. Or I say I imagine. We do have confirmation that the Platinum Heroes, they lost a bunch of players. They lost Firefly. They lost DNS. I think they still have Shadown. But again, they have been bleeding out some of their top players. DNS and Firefly specifically. They also lost Baby Marine. Vendetta left as well. So Platinum Heroes did bleed out a lot of players over the new year, but they've been replacing them with a lot of the ex-Twisted Minds players. I believe a lot of players like Nicoract, Young Yakov. They picked up a bunch of Polish players as well, like Snogstar and I believe Aristory. So yeah, the Platinum Heroes, their roster has been shifting quite a bit. Here. And we'll see if Nicoract is reinvigorated by his new team. Again, he's a great player. Nicoract, he's around the middle of the pack when it comes to the European Terran players. And I would say that his best matchup is TvT. He does thrive in the TvT matchup. Against Protoss, he isn't too bad either, but he's up against Classic. That's the thing. Classic, he is poised to make a deep run in this tournament. Just like Max, can anyone stop him? It all depends on the lineup, on who is available here this week. As Nicoract is going for an economic opener, he's going for a Rax Expand, single gas opener here out of our Blue Terran, and going for his Reaper Scout across the map. Is going for his Reaper Scout. Again, is gonna try to find a way into the main base. He's gonna be deterred by the wall. Adept is gonna be shooing that Reaper away, and we have our tech of choice. Classic is gonna be opening up not Twilight Council, but with a Stargate hidden at the natural. Very interesting position, and it will get scouted. Will get scouted in the end here at the natural base. So Nicoract is now fully aware of what's going on. Back across the map, Classic does get here, does delay mining, or does delay the production of the low ground CC. A good RNG out of Nicoract, keeping that SCV on the left-hand side. Getting a bit of progression, but this is still a big delay here on that command center. Oh. Very nice control out of Classic. Does take down the SCV just barely in time as well. We were seconds away. Ooh. Adept and Reaper do kill each other. Again, the CC still heavily delayed and now going to finally be finishing up. And we are getting into Phoenixes. If this was Hero, I would have assumed Oracle first, but no, it's going to be Phoenixes into a Robo. This looks like Phoenix Colossus. A very standard, a very meta unit composition. Very meta opener here in PvT. I'll be honest, this build has kind of fallen by the wayside. We've been seeing a lot more Blink Stalker based openers, especially against the Cyclone builds of kind of modern day of the past couple of weeks. So it's a little bit refreshing to see Phoenix Colossus once again after so long. Meanwhile, Phoenix does get in, we get a full scout, we get confirmation that it is going to be a 3 Rax follow-up here by Nicoract, a very committed build. We're going to be hyper-fixated here on building up a Marine army, and we're going to be pushing with Stim. Now, the downside is that the push of Nicoract will not have Medivacs. No Medivacs to support, which means every Stim does count. We can't waste them. We can't use them a little bit too freely. To hold on to those Stims as best we can. The army is already moving out. As we work towards our transition into eventually Medivac production. Now, Classic is fully aware of what's going on. He does have a shield battery, he does have 2 sentries. Now, this ramp leading up into the natural is quite large. It's a very wide ramp, so it's going to take a lot of force fields to really slice up the army. On top of that, specifically on this map, you can actually get onto this point of elevation at the center of the map. We can just go up this ramp here in the center, and we can, of course, lay siege upon the would-be third base. Force fields aren't going to be anywhere near as impactful as it would on other maps. So Classic does get a safety immortal, does get a second safety immortal as well. It's a very safe play here out of Classic. The bay is done. Closest production should be commencing momentarily. And Nicoract, he will be consolidating his army, but here we go. He is pushing. Stim just finished up. We have +1 armor. We have a concussive shell in the way. And Nicoract is committed. Now, bearing in mind, this is not an all-in. We're working on the next step. But ideally, this needs to get damage done. This needs to trade well. Taking down the sentries, maybe an immortal. We still want to go for the shield battery. Good force fields here out of Classic, cutting the army in half. We do cut the army in half, and Marines are going down. And just like that, Nicoract is deflected. He got a shield battery, got a couple of adepts, got a sentry, but not much else. So a good defense so far, and Classic, he does come across the Marines, forcing out another stim. Nicoract, he knows he cannot fight this. He's trying to escape, trying to get away. Oh, but he is being caught out. Does get one Stalker, though. Gets a second. Not bad. 2 Stalkers will go down. But the Marines, they are being chased down, and we should be losing everything here, forcing out another stim. Oh my god. This army so heavily overstimmed. Oh my, and the swipes from the Colossus are brutal as we kill every single Marine. 2 Marines make it back home. 1 Marine does survive, does live to tell the tale. But everyone else knows what's going on here as the Colossi have arrived. We have a 3rd CC on location. Very greedy here out of Nicoract. Can he get away with it? But now Classic, he's backing off in the midst of taking a 4th base. And this is a really greedy move out of Nicoract, but we'll see if he can get away with it. As the CC is going to finish. Looks like Classic was waiting for a second Colossus. The CC seconds away from completing, and it looks like it will. The army does arrive. We have plenty of Marauders on the ground. The boys are being pulled. Good pickups here from those Phoenixes. And it looks like we can barely break through. Nicoract, he had to hold the line then and there. He had to protect that 3rd base, and he barely did not have enough. GG. Classic will take the first game. And it was just brutal having Nicoract lose all those Marines. I mean, again, imagine that army, imagine that push, but Nicoract has 12 more Marines at his disposal. I think he moved out with around 16 and did lose a big chunk, but on top of that, he lost everything afterwards, right? Like, he was chased down, he was being a little bit too greedy, and he lost almost every single Marine. Only 1 survived, and that meant that his army was that much weaker. He was taking a chance, taking a risk, expanding on location, but that also meant that he had less of a defender's advantage at that fight, at that 3rd base. He was a little bit more exposed, more out in the open, no SimCity working for him, and Classic does take the first game. GG, well played. Is this a rerun? It is not. It is not. These games did occur a couple of days ago. I want to say around 2 or so days ago. But it's at a really bad time here in land of Europe. So we are going over replays. Going over the replays here to catch up on what we missed out on. On what was happening while we were sleeping. While we were sleeping. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alcyone, we have the Blue Terran player. The Blue Terran representing his new team, Platinum Heroes. It is Nicoract. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Oh, did I press the wrong button? There we go. There we go. As we have found ourselves here on Alcyone, and Nicoract what kind of build do we have in store for us this time? Now, this map is more macro-oriented, so I do expect more of a macro build. As I say that, I may have to eat my words. The SCV comes in from left-hand side, is spotted by the probe. It looked like Nicoract was planning to go for an eBay block, still going for it, but Classic has eyes on this, and he will shut this down. Yeah, second probe does move down to the low ground, and a third, oh my god, and even a third probe as well. Just making sure that the eBay is denied. And as a result, Classic will be able to expand on location without too much issue. As it goes for a gate into Cybercore into an expansion. Meanwhile, Nicoract opening up double gas. Okay, interesting. A much more aggressive build out of Nicoract. Opening up double gas, this means a delayed CC and a faster factory. Speaking of, factory is going to be on the way. And we have seen quite a lot of Cyclone drop play in the early game of TVP. Wouldn't be opposed to that for Nicoract. It could just be a standard, faster Hellion into Widowmine production, into Widowmine drop play. We'll see what Nicoract is fond of. Classic, of course, getting his expansion up and running. We have that reactor poised to potentially go for an add-on swap. And the Probe Scout will confirm the lack of CC on the low ground and the factory that's in production. So Classic now knows it was a double gas opener. Big Scout from Classic. With that, once again, going to be going for a Stargate opener himself. We have our tech of choice, and should be for Phoenixes. Meanwhile, there's that add-on swap, and it is going to be Cyclones. We spoke about it, but in the early game of TVP, Cyclones can be quite impactful. They can be quite a menace here to the Protoss. Especially in conjunction with Medivacs. Speaking of, Starport is on the way. Now I say Medivacs just because Cyclones kill workers so quickly, disgustingly quickly. It's insane how much DPS Cyclones do have. So something like Cyclone Drop Harass can be very, very impactful and influential here in this matchup in TVP. But for now, we're just continuing Cyclone production. We have map control. We move out across the map. We gain control of the Zelnaga. Classic even going for a pylon block here on the low ground, and does somehow slip into the main base, gets eyes on everything, does see the 1-1-1 as well as the CC on the high ground as well. Meanwhile, the Cyclones have arrived. And they're both still up and running, getting quite a bit of damage done. The shield battery isn't done yet. Uh-oh. Shield battery not quite done, but we do take down one of the Cyclones. Yeah, and with that, it looks like Nicoract, he did overextend, losing one Cyclone already. Second Cyclone, less than half HP. With help of this scan, we can focus down these Adepts. 1, 2 Adepts go down. And the shield battery is going to finish just in time. And with the help of the shield battery, we can just completely shut this down. We lose another Cyclone. Expensive losses, very expensive losses here for Nicoract. Trading 2 Cyclones for 3 Adepts, not worth it. Meanwhile, we throw down, oh my, 2 Cybercores. Wait, what? 2 Cybercores have been thrown down. We're letting them finish. No shot. We let them finish as well. Big delay here on the expansion. I think that was a bit of a mistake. I don't think we needed to let that finish. But the CC's on the way. Classic, he's having fun. We force back every single Cyclone. And we will finally expand. More importantly, though, we get confirmation that we have not stopped Cyclone production. How many do we have? 6. 6 Cyclones here for Nicoract. Transitioning into Bio, into 2 more Vaxes. Finally going for an add-on swap, getting out of Cyclones into tanks. And this is going to be a pretty terrifying push. Here we go. Nicoract moving out with quite a devastating army. Vikings, Cyclones, a couple of Marines, Medevac to juggle. And what do we have to defend? Not much, to be honest. We do have a shield battery, we do have an overcharge, but we cannot hold on to this third base. It's not going to happen. The third should be focused down. And there's the cancel. At the same time, Phoenix is wreaking havoc here in the main base, getting 4 SCV kills. But Nicoract, he doesn't carry, commits. Pushes on forward, gets a lock on some of these Immortals. But the Immortals, they just chew away, they just work their way through these Cyclones. Too much DPS. We had 6, we're down to 3. Down to 3 Cyclones remaining here. Oh, down to 2. And GG gets called. Nicoract, his push gets completely shut down. His economy is crippled, and Classic takes the series 2-0. GG, a very solid performance there at a Classic. There were some moments, though, I will say there were some moments where Classic was in a bit of trouble, where the Cyclones were able to gain some value initially, but really good time with the shield battery. Really good time with the shield battery, really good timing of the overcharge as well. Good use of the Phoenixes, and for Classic to have the confidence to even leave his natural base exposed, leave his third exposed, go for a big counterattack, kill SCVs with its Phoenixes while he defends with the Immortals. Just really solid play there out of Classic, and with that, does take it 2-0. GG. GG, well played. He does advance on to the semifinals as well. So we have Max Packs in the upper semis, we have Classic in the lower semis, and Classic has met his next opponent, another player that did not travel to IEM Katowice. It is the Korean Protoss Creator. Let's go.